It says we are. Yeah, there's
It
probably
says
a
we're
little
good?
delay. Yep, I'm seeing
Okay.
all the Streamlabs goodies.
Oh, man.
All
Look at
right,
us.
I'm gonna
Hi, Mom.
move your
We're on
stuff
YouTube.
around.
Okay. Yeah, you do that. Hello, YouTube. It is us again for third week-ish in a row,
It's us again.
right? We've been doing this for 3 weeks.
Has it been 3 weeks we've done this?
Yeah, with continuous improvement too. So
I'm kind
yeah.
of impressed. I won't even lie.
Honestly, I am kind of too. Yeah, we're good. I see us live. We're good to go.
Sweet.
Got chat up and everything, just in case anything is going on in the world. I see you are messing with some stuff. That's great. I'm gonna mute myself over here because I'm getting some double.
Oh,
all right.
no.
So yeah, welcome to the pre-show. This is the pre-show where Blake and I talk about what we're gonna put in the show. We put stuff in the show. We banter a little bit. If you've not been here for the last couple of weeks, that's what we're doing here. It's not a full show right now. You'll get that in a few minutes. We're just hanging out. It's kind of like a hangout live experience right now. So yeah, as you can see by the title here, Blake and I will be breaking down some of this Robinhood stuff that's been going on. You've been seeing it in the news, the whole GameStop fiasco, the everything that's going on. Blake, did you happen to watch any of the hearing today on that stuff?
No. No. There's it's that insane. There's a hearing about it.
Yeah, there's a House Financial Committee hearing on it.
What in the world? How did all of that come about? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a big deal because there's some context to all this, and we should probably do this before the show is to kind of consolidate exactly what's been going on. But
yeah,
so there's this thing called shorting a stock, and when you do that, there's and I'm going to save some of this for the show, but the long story short is that when people want a company to fail, they short a stock. They make money by the stock going down.
Gotcha.
Now, what happened was all these retail investors came in and saw GameStop, and they pushed the stock up, and so there's this battle between the two where a lot of people made out with a lot of money because everyone that was trying to make money by the thing going down, they sold their stocks, driving the price upwards.
Gotcha.
And during the course of all this, just background here and why we're talking about Robinhood and all this, and why it became such a large deal is because right at the peak of GameStop's price, around $400 and something, they decided to shut off the ability to buy shares of GameStop right in the middle of all this. And so today we'll be breaking down some of the factors that went into that, but also, we're going to take a look at this from the human factors side of the house. There's a lot of stuff going on. So this is actually the UX side. There's some stuff that I was actually brought up in the hearing today that we'll bring up during this show. That's what we're doing here. We're doing a show. So yeah, I got there's a couple really great quotes, and they actually bring up user experience elements, and they brought up user researchers in the hearing. It was really interesting, actually. I was kind of glued to it all day. I had it up in the background just listening to it, but yeah, it was good stuff, man.
That's interesting, dude. That's kind of funny too, because that means that user experience and UX, and I would assume to some degree human factors, is enough in the zeitgeist that you're hearing it even in congressional hearings now.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And it really kind of highlighted the importance of exactly what those roles do, because we'll talk about it on the show, but I guess we can reward our YouTube viewers as well. There's so they were talking about how user researchers have come up with this confetti when you log in and you get a free stock. You get it's a scratcher. You scratch it off and it's confetti. It feels full on like gambling, and you're rewarding that behavior by
it's gamification.
Anyway,
at its best.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. So anyway, Blake, I don't know if you want to take a stab at taking this article and chopping it up into our little blurb here. I am
I am
looking
cutting
for
it up
some.
right now as we speak, so we should be good. Did you like in terms of the
Oh.
article? Do you want to talk through these like points that are made about the design? 'Cause
Absolutely.
I'll
Hang on.
save them at the very end.
Hold on. Where? Oh wait, hang on. I think in the notes, I think you're combining everything here. Hang on. So I've actually I pulled stuff from different articles, Blake. So I think whatever you put in there is different. So I think this. Wait, hang on. I'm confused. Hang on. Said the site design education portal. Okay, so I think this belongs separately. So I think that's the article, right? That you're looking at there.
Yeah, this is the TechCrunch article you've got at the top.
GameStop. That's where it starts. Yeah, if you wanna pick that up, I think so. They go over 5 rules, right? And I think if we want to just, they have some suggestions in here. I think we can keep those in and talk about them. So yeah, we can just talk about the 5 issues, and then maybe mention the 5 issues in the blurb, but keep the extra stuff as a reminder, so we can come back to it and make sure we cover it, and just throw it in between. Up here with the highlighted. You can throw it up there.
All right.
And like I said, I'm gonna go grab a couple extra quotes here. How have you been, man?
Not bad. It's been an interesting week for sure. I've been helping, and I'll talk about this a little bit at the beginning, but it's funny to me, like imposter syndrome and people's perception of it. Especially from like, so for I guess basically just you, because I don't think there's actually a viewer, but if there is, like a lot of what I do and what I enjoy is education when it comes to user experience, and that includes research and design. So that's what I spend a lot of my evenings doing, is talking to students, kind of coaching them through how to start a career in UX or how to advance their career in UX. And just the whole topic of imposter syndrome and people's assumptions about myself and how I think about myself as a designer. It's been a fun topic this week, because you would think that somebody that does a podcast and is willing to like stick themselves on video in multiple different mediums, so albeit like some of them are just like funny things that I do, you would think I'm like a super extroverted person, but I'm not. I'm not super outgoing or anything like that. So it's been fun to help people craft stories for their portfolios on how their transition to design or research is possible and their prior experience is valuable. So that's kind of been the focus of my week, is just lifting up others so they can get on with a career they would like to do.
Very kind of you.
I get paid for it. Don't worry about it. It's not like out of the kindness of my heart.
I got invited to be a mentor for my alma mater, and I am contemplating doing it. But again, it's that, do I want to get paid to do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of me that, like, because I love it so much, I would just love to do that. And I didn't realize that there's actually a lot of people out there, especially in the UX world, that use just work for various education platforms or like start their own content and things like that. So it's something I'm definitely gonna think about for the future, developing courses and things like that, because I've tried to get more involved in my current company, and no slag against them, they just don't want me in more of a capacity that I'm in right now. So I'm kind of getting the itch to do something, and we'll see how it goes. All right. Man, this is going to be a hard blurb.
It's a long blurb.
I'm just trying to get my head around what these actual like fails, fixes, and rules are.
Yeah,
first.
if you look at the article, it becomes a little bit more clear.
Yeah.
Right. They kind of categorize it, right? So
and you've got these quotes up top. That's just like for reference for you, right? I'm not going to.
That's reference for me. That's stuff from today's hearing that I want to make sure I address because it's relevant to the things that we're talking about here.
Rad. So I'm just gonna chop this initial blurb up, and then what I'll probably do is just leave a lot of those 5 things alone.
That's fine. Yeah, we can talk about that too. As long as we have a blurb, we can also just reference the actual article. We don't have to have everything in there. There's some really good examples in the article for anyone that's going to be following along with us as we're going through. They have like before and after what this looks like. During the hype of all this stuff, there's like a lot of really interesting things going on here. So while we're doing this, Blake, I am going to attempt to find us some it came from. So
do it.
The first thing we do here for the uninitiated is uninitiated. By the way, our news story was chosen by our patrons, so thank you to all of our patrons. And you know what? I just realized that we should probably post this link into our Slack. I'm going to do that. Just say, hey, folks, we're live now.
Wow, this is kind of a whole interesting, just, I don't know, life event is probably not right. Kind of economical event. I don't know. It has to do with technology, too. But there's so many consequences of what's gone on. Outside of just like to GameStop, like to this company itself, it's pretty intense. It seems like, huh?
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot going on with this whole story, and it'll be fun to kind of talk about it. So where was I? I was just saying something. Sorry, I just messaged our Slack letting them know that we went live. Yes, our patrons choose the news. That is a thing that they do. We post a link every week with some of the news stories that we have. If you're a patron, you get a voice in that, and you can do that at any level. So they chose this GameStop fiasco among some of the runners-up, which I'm really hoping that we get to one of these weeks. Actually, let me find it. So some of the runners-up here was the Virgin Hyperloop concept video. As well as a CES recap. CES was last month, but we keep kind of recycling some of these stories. If news cycles are stale in terms of human factors, it's a little weird right now. We had a lot of really great stories come in through today. So they'll get to choose next week between, and Blake, this is something that I find fun too, is because we no longer choose the stories. You and I used to sit here and go, what do you want to talk about? We don't do that anymore. We let them choose it, and it's great.
Which, to be completely fair, that was sometimes really hard to do, especially in like the COVID era. It felt like it was very hard to figure out, okay, what is interesting that we want to talk about, and where do we go from here? So really, thank you all the Patreons that help us select the news, because you make this more fun for me at least. I'm sure Nikki feels something similar.
Yeah. So let me just. So anyway, our possible topics for next week are going to be the continued stories that we have up there. So we got the Hyperloop, we got the Starlink beta, CES recap, Google mobile search redesign, Panasonic AR heads-up display. But among that, we also have, let's see, EPFL. I haven't fully read this article yet, but let's see here. Engineers from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology have developed a wearable sensing chip that can measure the concentration of cortisol in sweat. So that's something that we potentially could talk about. There's
that's
a floating,
pretty sick. Wow.
Floating holographic buttons, maybe make smart toilets even better, so you don't have to get all disgusting and touch buttons that other people have touched. They're holographic. We got, let's see here, Google rolling out a slew of upgrades to improve virtual classrooms. This big experiment with Ticketmaster and why ticket sellers hit you with those last second fees. It's because you already got everything in your basket. Spoilers. And then there's scientists find a way to communicate with dreaming people. So there's a really good selection of articles, and we'll probably recycle a couple of them in the polls for the next couple weeks. But yeah, that's been what's been going on over there. All that to say, I am leading us over to Patreon right now to check to see for the It Came From section. We've been posting these weekly over there. They get to the front of the line. So I just want to see if anybody has jumped in and mentioned anything. I do want to thank Mateo for jumping in the chat and saying he can't make it,
man?
but
That's amazing.
Keep up the great work. So thank you, Mateo. Really appreciate your love and support. You help keep the show alive. So let's see here. We got the weekly It Came From thread. I don't know if we got any hits on this one. We're going to keep doing this weekly. And it's just an auto post now. Anyway, nothing there. So we're gonna look over Reddit. How's that blurb coming, Blake?
Pretty good. I think I'm all right with it.
All right, great. So with that, we're gonna take a look at Reddit to see what's cooking in the world of some of these subreddits we like to venture into.
Some of our favorite
for some
subs.
of these things. Yeah, let's see.
You know, I haven't seen a good human factor subreddit one in a while.
Yeah, you see one now?
No, I was just thinking back to some of the emails I've gotten this week because for whatever reason, that's when I try and catalog them, is if I catch them through an email.
I see. Yeah, let me see. So let me throw out a couple at you, Blake.
Yeah, let's do it.
Again, this is kind of behind the scenes for everyone who's joining us now. This is the pre-show to the full show. You'll get that too here in just a minute. We're going to try to start here in the next 6 minutes. We usually try to start right at 5. That way our evenings are not completely messed up. Let's see here. What to do when working with an older professional who doesn't seem so senior, or like a senior professional who doesn't seem so senior?
Wow, that's an intense question. How do you deal with that, Nick?
They list a specific role here, but I think this question is fair game, right? I think this is like something that you could certainly ask. Like, what happens if you get put under somebody who you feel doesn't have as much experience as you do? Do we want to talk about that?
Oh, man, I don't know. I mean, we can try and do it. I don't know that I have. I've been in that position. But it's hard. I'm going to go down the rabbit hole trying to answer the question, so I'll leave that be. That's a cool one. Yeah. What else you got on the docket? Is that the only one?
Yeah, let's see what no, there's a couple other ones here. Let's see what else we got. What about I guess I could answer this one, and maybe you could answer this one from a pet parent perspective, or really other limitations. But this one's an interesting one that I didn't really think of so much. But does being a parent limit you from looking into certain roles? And
yeah, I definitely couldn't answer that one.
I know you couldn't answer that, but that's something that I feel like I could.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no harm in doing one that I can't answer. I mean, because I feel like that's super relevant, particularly for anybody who's like got kids and transitioning into human factors or has been in human factors and doesn't really know what their next move is.
I feel like I could just answer that question now, but let's keep looking here. Let's see here.
Give me like 3 seconds or 5 seconds of just nothing. I'm gonna test Audacity really quick. Hey everybody, how you doing? Okay, cool. That works really well. Hey everybody. Sweet. Okay, that's awesome.
Should probably test my end.
And there we go. So that can run. Hopefully I don't have any kind of weird mishaps this time. That'd be nice.
So there's two really great ones so far that we kind of talked about. What about looking here? Oh boy, the quantitative research question.
Hey, haven't we done that one before? At least 100 times.
At least 100 times. Oh shit. Here we go. This is one that I think I I certainly want this one on tonight's episode.
Yeah.
Here. So I have an interview this week with a creative design agency. It seems that the 40-person team doesn't have a single person of color. As someone who values diversity, how can I bring this up appropriately during an interview?
Oh yeah, that's a spicy one.
Oh, that's a spice, as you say. That's a spicy one, isn't it?
Although, to be honest, I don't have good insight on that. I can't give you any kind of real actionable advice.
I'm gonna ask you for the answer.
I can give you my opinion, but what that's worth, I have no idea.
That's what we're here for, Blake. We're here to give opinions. That's what we're here for.
I like these. I like these questions.
Yeah,
this is cool. I mean, it's been a long time since I feel like there's been good questions. Is not the right thing. Like some that are not straightforward. Yeah, challenging. Because like the one last week too, same thing. I mean, it was all about like a combative workplace from a woman's perspective. I mean, I can't give any real good advice. I was more like appalled than anything, if I remember right.
Yeah,
that was another good like challenging one. Like, what are proactive things you could do or try to do? And that was a fun one. So this should be interesting too.
Let's see here. Looking for one more good one. I'll pull all these in, but I just
do it. And if you want for the parent one, I can read that since you're going to be the one answering it. Good.
Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe. Yeah, I'll probably still read it, but give it to you and frame it just a little differently. Like, hey, are there things now that make you look at positions differently or something? We can just alter it a little bit.
I can answer that question for sure.
Yeah.
If there's any kind of limiting factors for me.
Yep. Let's do that.
Going to be a weird perspective for most people.
Because that's the pivot that I'm going to make in that example as well. Being a parent doesn't really like intrinsically change the way I do anything. I'm also a male, and I can imagine. Anyway, we'll get into all that. I don't want to.
Don't want to do it here.
Yeah. All right. We'll just take that one. We'll take that one and the other one and the older senior designer there. We'll take those. I think that will be a great sample of it came from Reddit this week. Looks like some of these were deleted, but that's okay.
That's fine.
We can at least take the question. Yeah, the question's there. As long as the question's there. And that's what I love about the service that we use. It automatically captures at least the question. This one will be a longer one. This is great. Okay, so we're just going to post this guy here. All right, so we got the blurb. We got the it came from. Is there anything else we need to worry about here? It's 5:00.
Are we good? I think we're good. You got banter?
Okay. Yeah, I got banter. Do you got banter?
Yeah, I'm ready to banter, man. Although I talked about it a little bit, so I apologize to anybody who's watching now. You're going to have to hear me banter a little bit about the same thing, but maybe a little more in depth. How's that?
Yeah, that's okay. I think that will be okay. Okay, so here we go. Blake, let's count us down, and we will record this. All right, ready?
Let's go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Hey, everyone. It's episode 194. Today is February 18th, 2021. This is Human Factors Cast. I am your host, Nick Roome, and I'm joined today by Mr. Blake Arnsdorff.
Yes. Another Thursday, another podcast night with Mr. Nick Roome.
Another Thursday, another podcast night with Mr. Arnsdorff, from my perspective.
I had to I almost did not know it was Thursday. That's where I'm at this week.
Yeah, I know. It's been a weird week, right? Because Monday was a holiday here in the States, and a lot's been going on. But we got a somewhat topical and interesting news story this week. We have an article from TechCrunch: 5 ways Robinhood's rushed UX changes exacerbated the GameStop crisis. Especially topical today because of the hearings. We'll get into all that. But just to get into some quick programming notes, we are back on YouTube again. So if you are thinking about watching us, you can certainly do that. I don't know why you'd want to watch our faces, but you can certainly have it up in another tab and listen to us live. We're usually live recording the episode around 5 p.m. Pacific time every Thursday evening. However, we do like a little pre-show for everyone who joins us a little bit early. We're usually on by 4:30, 4:45, getting the show notes together and just rapping a little bit before the show. So we do a little bit of post show too. So if you want to join us over on YouTube, for now, that's where we're at. We might expand to more platforms in the future. But again, we're trying this whole interactive audience thing going on. We got a live chat up. So if you have any questions or comments as we're going through all this, you might hear some of those on the show. We're trying to make this a little bit more interactive for all you all. So this is a great time to be a podcaster, I think, Blake.
Absolutely. And if you just want to come say hi, like one of our Patreons did today, please feel free to do that too. We appreciate just hanging out with anybody and just having a good time.
Yes, it's a good time. But Blake, I got to know what's going on in your world, man.
Man, so we chatted about this a little bit earlier, but something that's kind of been, churning around a lot for some of the people that I work with for my design lab mentoring. So for those who don't know or are new to the show, I do a lot of UX design and research, and I also like to be an educator. Like that's my kind of part-time job in the evenings. And I've noticed a lot of students have asked me recently about imposter syndrome and like, how do you know that you can feel like that you're actually a professional and you're no longer like aspiring to be somebody or aspiring to be a designer, aspiring to be a human factors person. And so a lot of people asked me like how I got over, having imposter syndrome or feeling like I didn't know what I was doing. And I think to a lot of people,
have it.
I have it now. I have it all the time. And I think that was the surprising part talking to a couple students this week was that I don't know. I'm of the opinion that for me, that's just never going to go away. But the thing that I can look back on and understand that I am to some degree capable of doing the jobs that I do is I have, I've developed software. I've helped designs push forward. I've done a lot of usability testing and studies in the past. So there's a lot of like a long line of work that indicates that I know to some degree how to do human factors work or how to be a designer or how to do some development, believe it or not. But the imposter syndrome thing does not really go away for me. I think the only thing that changes is it's just like it's a different kind of perspective, because I think being able to do something like this, like the podcast where we talk about human factors or user experience all the time and just getting more comfortable talking about the subjects, I think that gives people the impression that I'm super confident in everything that I do when it comes to, user experience or whatever. So it was one of those things that I wanted to also throw to you in case anybody's listening that's like starting their first job or even has been in like a mid-tier position and still feel like they don't really know what they're doing. I mean, do you experience imposter syndrome this late in the game? Because you've been a human factors person for a long time.
I will say, I still get it every now and then, and I've really actually it's great that you kind of are reflecting on this with your students, is because I've actually thought about this recently myself. I don't feel it anymore, and I think it's largely due to the team that I work with. I'm the only one on my team that does human factor stuff, and I think my team understands the importance of what I do. I don't have to spend a lot of time educating them. They kind of just trust me. And that trust goes a long way for giving me confidence in my role. However, I can see very much where if you're working in an environment where, now to be clear, that doesn't mean that they don't challenge me on some of these outcomes. They might, request a reason why I suggest something a certain way, but there is a higher level of intrinsic trust within the group that I'm working in now than in groups that I've worked with in the past. And I will say that's gone a long way for my confidence. And like I said, it's not necessarily a matter of having a team that just trusts you blindly go on your way. I don't think that's healthy. I think that discourse is very healthy, especially for the design of a product. However, I will say, the more your team trusts you to do something or doesn't question kind of the methods and motives that you took to get to that conclusion,
Sure.
I think that goes a long way for me to have that confidence to where I don't have imposter syndrome. And really, like, a lot of people do experience imposter syndrome. I highly suspect that if I get involved with another team somewhere in the future, like, it might come back. So it's just a matter of where you're at, what team you're working with, who you're working with. That's a great question though, Blake. And honestly, man, like, you're starting the "it came from" at the top here.
I know it's my favorite part of the
like.
show, and I just wanted to kick it off that way, right?
Oh man.
But how's everything been going in your world, man? What's new?
It's good. It's good. It was a little bit of a weird week. The holiday, like I said, kicked us off. So it's felt like this isn't really Thursday, a lot of work. Anyway, I did have a chance to kind of slow down and watch a Nintendo Direct earlier this week. And, this is the first time. Have you ever watched one of these?
No, what is it?
So a Nintendo Direct is it's like well, in this case it was a 50-minute video where they showcase new games coming to the Nintendo Switch. They have people come on and they describe the games that they're showing. Now, this really got me thinking just about the way in which they communicate information. It's such a nicely produced way to release information that feels like it both respects people who are watching its time, and Nintendo is just so fabulous at keeping secrets under wraps that, like, anything that comes out of these announcements is fun to look at. There were games I obviously didn't care for in it, and there are games that other people probably didn't care for in it, but I think that overlap is small, and the time that they spend on each one of these games is just enough to where you're like, I can sit through this. I can wait till the next one. And it's not disrespectful of my time. I'll just see what this is about, and, this is a game that I don't really care for, but I'll wait a few seconds and it'll be on to the next one. And, oh, hey, there's a Star Wars one. That's great. And it was only a couple seconds long. And I was like, oh, wait, no, I want more details about that. But it really got me appreciating, from the human factors perspective, even just how tightly their production is on those Nintendo Directs, and feel like more companies should follow that model of really making sure that their script is tight, that the things that they're showing are quick enough to generate interest, but not long enough to discourage somebody from, like, pulling out their phone and checking, whatever it is, Twitter or something in between things, right? And I still did that. I looked at what was trending during it, but I just really appreciated it, and think that more companies should follow that kind of style.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a way to keep people engaged. And for a company like Nintendo, and I would imagine the same could be said for like Xbox, or I guess Microsoft, or PlayStation, or Sony, is like being able to keep everybody in the crowd's attention for a long period of time is probably really hard to do, for kind of what you mentioned at the top, right? There were some games you were stoked on, some you weren't, and then the vice versa for each person in the audience. But it seems like Nintendo's really got it down if they're able to, like, combine stuff in pretty short segments but still get you really stoked for the stuff that you are seeing that you like. So that's a really smart move. That's cool. That's pretty insightful of you too.
And I'm gonna go ahead and plug one more thing about it that I think is so effective. In a lot of cases, you'll get like these seasonal events like E3 or the Game Awards, where it's highly anticipated and everyone knows it's coming and everyone kind of makes way in their schedule for it. And what Nintendo does is they will, like, announce it 24 hours in advance. And
wow, that short notice?
Yeah. And so
Sweet.
Like, they're working on it, and they're not going to release it until it's ready. And it's just, a lot of times they come out of the blue. And so you're, as a consumer, you're sitting there going, oh, well, this is a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting anything. But then, a day ago you told me that this was coming out, and great, I don't have any expectations about what we could see here. And it's the time difference between their announcing it and it show it, right? There is some speculation, right? We thought we might see Breath of the Wild 2, we thought we might see a new Mario, but because that time difference between the things was so short, it's not like the disappointment was immeasurable once that direct came out. It was like, oh, okay. And sorry, one more thing. They do a very good job of managing expectations, right? So the creator of Zelda, or the director of Zelda, came up and everyone was like, oh, Breath of the Wild 2, we're going to hear about that. And he's like, I know a lot of people are expecting Breath of the Wild 2 news since I'm up here. You're going to have to wait a little while longer, right? They're very transparent about it. They're like, we don't have anything to show you today. Stay tuned. We're going to show a little bit more later this year. And that transparency is like really appreciated from a consumer perspective. Like, I don't know. It's just a really cool way to disseminate information. I really appreciate it.
That's so nuts, because basically what you're describing to me sounds like the presentation was obviously well thought out and designed, right, in terms of information presentation, all the stuff they do. But it seems like the larger game they're playing too is very well thought out, and like thinking about, there's a lot of things on the internet right now, and a lot of people are having their attention spread everywhere. How do we engage people the most? And it seems like by doing time span short from the presentation, also being transparent up front, because like if you were a Zelda fan, you could just leave the presentation if you really weren't there for anything else. So that's really awesome to hear, that there's like not only like a giant company out there that makes really cool products, like respecting people's time, but they're also being really thoughtful about how they're putting events together, basically.
Yeah, I just thought it was a great use of time. Anyway, I'm going on and on and on. I think we should get into the news. That's right. This part of the show is all about human factors news. This is where we talk about everything related to the field of human factors. This could be anything from medical, privacy, security, whatever. As long as it relates to the field of human factors, it is fair game for us to talk about. Blake, what do we have this week?
This week, it is all about fintech. So the GameStop debacle has been hailed by many as the first of its kind from a digital activism, with the crowd coming together to stick it to Wall Street, and specifically hedge funds that are in the business of short selling, especially since there has been some significant reputational damage at stake if you're Robinhood. And that's exactly the position that the trading platform has found itself in the last week. So despite promising to make finance accessible to all, the company had to limit trading on GameStop, AMC, and other meme stocks, leaving users upset that the fintech company wasn't living up to its name. The specific reasons may have been short-term and technical, but the choice was viewed with suspicion by much of the Robinhood users, and not least because Robinhood has a large hedge fund as a main customer. So this saw Robinhood app receive hundreds of thousands of one-star ratings across app stores, which Apple and Google, thankfully from Robinhood's perspective, helped them remove. But what role in all of this did the design and the kind of user experience choices that Robinhood made attribute to the backlash? So the main things that kind of we're going to chat through from this story, right, are kind of like 5 main topics that were put together by some TechCrunch writers about some of the UX problems here. So just at a high level, really what we're looking at is GameStop being removed from search results from Robinhood, people being blocked from buying those shares, fractional shares being unavailable, creating sell orders on your own behalf, and then lastly, failing to actually allow people to leave through not getting them statements in time. So there's kind of a lot to unpack here, Nick, but do you want to break down for those that maybe aren't as in tune, like what's really going on here?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. So I kind of described it in our pre-show, but I think this article does a great job of kind of setting the stage here. Long story short, there are institutions that make money off of a stock price going down. There are retail investors, people like you and I, who have apps like Robinhood or Fidelity or whatever it is, right, that invest with our own money. And there was kind of a rally behind this GameStop stock. And just for everyone listening too, this is really topical because just today, the House Financial Committee led a investigation into everything that happened, and there's some key quotes that will come out of that, and so it's very timely that our patrons actually chose this story for this week. So it's great. It all kind of fits together. But so anyway, there are people that make money off. There are institutions that make money off of stock price going down. There are people who rally behind GameStop's price, and because these two competing ideals about where the stock price should be force the price up. And as the price reached to something that is improbable for a true evaluation of the company, the price hit, I think, $485 at some point, which for GameStop was and still is probably improbable at this time. So what happened during all this at the peak, Robinhood implements some of these UX changes during a time where they also limited buying GameStop shares. And that's one of the points that they actually make here. So we'll get into that in a minute. But these changes caused the price, or it's speculated, I guess, that these changes and changes made across other platforms that are similar, a lot of these platforms adopted these changes where you couldn't buy the stock. So because of this, it shot the price back down. And so a lot of people bought in at like $300, $400, and now they're left with a share that's worth, at the time of this recording, 50, I think. I don't know. So yeah, it's a lot of money, and people throwing their life savings into it. Anyway, so all this action on the broker's part, an application like Robinhood, has caused United States government to get involved and do a hearing on this and see what's going on. But what we're here to talk about today, politics aside and opinions on the app aside, we're here to break this down from a human factors perspective, what's actually going on with the Robinhood app and what happened during the height of this fiasco. And also we're going to pull in some key quotes and conversations from today's hearing that kind of fit into all this. So I think you did a great job, Blake. We have the 5 things here, so we can kind of break these down one by one, and we can talk about them individually, and we'll start there. So the first thing that happened was when they blocked people from buying these shares. They were completely unable to even look for the ticker, which is GME, as the 3-symbol ticker symbol that people would search for in the app for GameStop. They completely removed this from search. So first off, people can't even find the thing unless you have shares in it, right? I had shares in it at the time. I was able to click on it and see what was going on, but I still couldn't go in and search. So that's incredibly dangerous from that perspective, if only because you're blocking users from being able to see information that's readily available on plenty of other platforms.
It really seems like a strange choice to just remove it completely from search, because that just leads to you feeling like something strange is going on, because I mean, especially at the time, right? Like, this was all over the news. It was definitely all over the internet. And so yanking something out from like a possibility to even search for it, I just don't know if that's the best move on their part. I mean, it would have been, I don't know, from my perspective, you probably would have wanted people to still be accessing it and seeing it, but being unable to purchase it and providing rationale that way would make more sense to me versus just like, nope, it doesn't exist. It's not here anymore, except for if you have shares, then you can go look at your shares or whatever you could see.
Yeah, and a lot of this, a lot of the issues, I think, come down to transparency about what's happening.
Yeah.
And in this case, right, if they said, if you searched in GameStop or GME and they came back with, hey, we're not letting users see GME right now just because of everything that's going on, or it's under investigation. It wasn't at the time, but if they gave some good reason to limit it from the search results, it would have been better than what they did. They should have left it in. And we're going to talk about everything kind of at the frame of reference of limiting buying GameStop shares, because there was a lot of stuff that went on external to that, but that was kind of the big one, right? And that's kind of what's next, right? And before we move on from removing this thing from the search results, the whole issue here is that it's not definitive, it's not clear. There's kind of that absence of information, which is not great from a human factors perspective. We want to know system status. What's going on with GME, the system, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And this, I don't know, to kind of looking at it from the outside in, from maybe the technical quick fix perspective, maybe that was just the easiest way to stop the page from appearing and people being able to access it. And so maybe that's why you just saw it be removed from search history, and that was the easiest fix for them in like a very fast turnaround. Because although like you're definitely right, you've broken a bunch of maxims of human factors in UX. The biggest one of like letting you know what information is available and being able to access it if you know it's supposed to be there. And I do wonder if that was just the fastest way to get something implemented under the hood.
Yeah, so let's talk about them actually removing the capability to purchase shares. The whole thing with Robinhood is that you are allowed to purchase not only shares but fractional shares. So you're able to buy a portion of one share that you share with somebody else or Robinhood. It's a little unclear. But what happened during all this, during the peak, like I said, they shut off buying entirely. And they cited this due to volatility and kind of with the user's best interest in mind, saying, hey, you don't want to do this because it's being really volatile right now. And, like that, to me, that doesn't scream free market. That screams like someone's trying to control what you can and can't do. Now, if they said simply something, if they were truthful about it and said, hey, we don't have the money to front your shares right now. So we can't let you buy it. That's one thing. So we're still trying to figure out what's exactly going on here. But the idea is that they would at least provide some additional information. That would be anything better than what they did. There's just a big thing that said you can't do it because of volatility, and they were not very specific. And so,
yeah, I mean, what does that even mean in this context? I
Right.
know that is a term that you see used in kind of like the stock market and things like that. But at the same time, like when you're talking about disabling people from buying something, when it's just like it's kind of a crazy phenomenon all of a sudden, it's tough because I imagine from Robinhood's perspective, it was like get stuff implemented now and deploy it across his application. But at the same time, I think they may have made, maybe it's erroneous, maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about, but I think they may have put users off or lost a lot of user trust by some of these quick actions without a lot of explanation. Because I mean, that's what's in common between 1 and 2 is you didn't amplify what was being done.
They certainly did, Blake, and that's 0.5. We'll get to that in a minute with how many users they lost because of this. But when you went to go buy a share, the thing was like grayed out, so you wouldn't even be able to see it.
Yeah.
And so, when you clicked on it, they would say fractional shares aren't available, but they didn't provide a reason in the app. And so, one solution to that would have been actually providing a link so that way they can click on it. I'm going to get into this next point here, which is creating sell orders on your behalf. We talked about blocking people from buying shares. We talked about the fractional shares bit. I guess we kind of talked about 2 and 3 together, but 4 here is creating sell orders on your behalf. Now, what happens when you want to sell a security? They basically, if you were trading on margin, which means you're borrowing Robinhood's money to trade, they automatically sold your shares for you. And that's part of the agreement, is that if you are on margin, they might do that for liquidity. And so I don't think this was like very clear to a lot of people, right? Even since this article was published,
Yeah, because like
Robinhood spokesperson says it was false. So,
well, in full transparency too, I don't know what you're talking about. Just the language there alone, I would have to go look it up. I've made assumptions to understand what it is based off of that and the need for liquid capital for these guys. But that seems pretty nuts, and I would imagine you would know better because you're much more versed in this. But is Robinhood upfront about that concept, like the fact that they can do this and they will do it if it's necessary?
it's in the terms of service agreement.
Yikes.
That big long document.
That's what I was wondering.
Read?
Yeah, this giant just terms and services, legalese document for you to read through. Okay, no, it's so
it also might be. It also might be in the settings when you turn on margin sharing. I'm not quite sure on that one.
Got it.
The idea here is that, even we can talk about whether or not this was truthful. I can talk about my experience is that I was setting limits on my orders that were outside the range that they thought was acceptable. And so when I did that, they automatically canceled those limit orders without my permission.
Wow. Okay.
And so even doing something like that, canceling sell orders on your behalf is not, good UX, right? They should have, stopping them from doing something like that to begin with is one thing, but then actually stepping in and taking control is a complete other perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe this is synonymous, but is that, bad UX, sure, bad design, whatever you want to call it, but isn't that kind of unethical in some way?
Oh, I don't know, Blake. I'm not here to talk about ethics.
That totally feels unethical to me. That's beyond just the design. That's like basically determining what they're going to do with your money as they need it.
Yeah. So my personal opinion, it's unethical in one way, but not another. So if the price is going down and you've set a sell limit on a share that's coming down and it hits that limit and they've canceled it before it hits that. So then it keeps going down and down and down and your limit sell is gone, right? That means the price is then lower than what you wanted to sell it at. So that's one way. And
Gotcha.
Yes, I think that's an unethical. However, if let's say the price was at 500 and you set the sell price for 750 and they say, hey, that's a little high. We don't think it'll make it. We're going to cancel that.
Gotcha. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Well, then we're like $200 out. We're like $300 out from that point. And it's like, okay, well, it's probably not going to rise like that. It might because it's GameStop and this whole thing.
Yeah.
But, at that point, I don't think it's necessarily unethical. I think they just need to be a little bit more transparent about it. But have I explained what's going on with these like sell order? I think you've kind of mentioned that you're picking up on some of these cues. Is there any way I can be more clear about it?
No, I think you're clear because it does, the article also calls out the fact that this is in the terms and services agreement that they can create these on your behalf if they have to. And you broke it down perfect. I think it makes a lot of sense. Again, it's funny. These items are all very different, but it leads kind of down the same, towards the same ideas in terms of like the rules you're breaking, if you will, or heuristics you're violating. And it's a lot of just you're not being very transparent with information or rationale for why you can or can't do something. So it's kind of interesting that all culminates here.
Yeah, and what did all culminate in? People leaving the platform.
Yep. This last one, I don't understand what it's really getting at. I understand they're leaving the platform, but it does make this kind of failing to get statements is the way that they framed the entire thing. Was this stopping people from leaving for some reason?
Let's talk about what happens when you want to leave Robinhood. So there you have a couple options. You could sell all your shares, liquidate all your assets, turn it into money, withdraw that money into your own bank account. Then you take that money, put it into a new broker, and buy those same shares back with your new broker. That's one way of doing it. With that comes some tax implications because you have cashed out on some securities. You then have potentially capital gains taxes that you have to worry about. You also don't hold those positions anymore. So you're locked into the price and however long it takes you to transfer all those assets into your new broker. There's another way of doing it where you give the account information to your new broker and they transfer all your positions. So now there's no tax implications because you haven't sold any securities. You maintain all of your assets in, there's a transfer that occurs between broker to broker. It's transferring assets instead of money, and those assets are worth something on the market. And so what happened here is that basically the download statement function was broken for people as they were trying to find the statement so that way they could give it to their new broker. And the only error people got was there's an unexpected server error. Please try again later.
No, they did
no
not.
alternative for them to no alternative for them to get, they couldn't contact anybody, they couldn't email anybody or anything like that. So this potentially wasn't as urgent or vital as some of these other things going on, but it still definitely was like hey, you're here on our terms and you can't leave.
Yeah.
Or at least we're going to make it very hard for you to leave. So yeah, that's what's going on there.
Yeah, so this is one that you just hope that I guess in the article it doesn't say whether Robinhood's taking responsibility for them doing this or if they're just like blaming it on server error, which, I'm sure the sheer scale, they were not prepared for it. It's obvious, like from the whole not having enough liquid funds and all this other stuff. And I can only imagine how many people did the Robinhood Gold thing. It was probably a nightmare from that perspective. But this is pretty gnarly because it's like if you're stopping people from leaving in this kind of way, that's a super dark pattern. But if you're not even providing, again, like an alternative or any of that stuff, like that just gets really nasty. And I could imagine that the culmination of all of these things, like it probably lost them a giant chunk of their user base. I think and you correct me if I'm kind of like really out of line here. I think part of the hardness of this whole thing is they made the financial aspect of doing this very, very easy. And I think they did have a very good user experience and good design. But this just hit them so hard they didn't even know what to do. And so they made all these, from my perspective, what seems like really rash, quick decisions to save themselves. And I think it's cost them dearly. And in a lot of ways, there was no way they were going to be able to be in control of somebody kind of pulling off this short selling for GameStop and it going the route that it did. But it sucks. It's like a great company that I've been really excited about for a long time. And it just feels like they had to make a bunch of really bad decisions quickly, and it just cost them a lot. But I don't know. I'm sure they'll bounce back in some way or another.
Maybe we'll see. There's also a thing earlier last year during the whole COVID thing when there was a lot of transactions going on, then they kind of froze everything. So it's a repeat occurrence, and at least from my perspective, they haven't been making a whole lot of great business decisions. And this was kind of what I was alluding to last week when I was talking about ethics versus usability of a platform. Robinhood's very usable. But the ethics going on here and the fact that they employed some really bad user experience and human factors principles were violated, it made me really just kind of look elsewhere for a broker. So with all this, right, they made all these decisions, and this kind of how it all contributed to the GameStop bubble. Whatever you want to call it, right? Today, as we're recording Thursday, the 18th of February, 2021, there was a hearing in the House of Representatives today with the CEO of Robinhood. There was also the CEO of Citadel, which is basically all the big players. They had the CEO of Citadel, Melvin Capital, which was the hedge fund. And then they also had Roaring Kitty, which I I forget it. Keith Gill is the guy who initially posted on Reddit, way long ago, 2019, saying, "Hey, GameStop's going to be huge." And so they had the Reddit CEO on there too. So there's a lot of big players in the room. And so what happened was there was a lot of kind of questioning of Robinhood during all this. A lot of questions for the CEO. I would say like 90% of all the questions were for the CEO, and maybe 10% was split among the other ones. And that's a lot of questions for somebody to answer. And so, of course, during all this, Congress people brought up some really great points. And I have some quotes here I'd like to talk about. And this is all like leaving politics out of it. This is going to be quotes about the human factors of Robinhood and the things that they're doing on the app that are potentially misleading customers or manipulating customers. And so what's going on here is that there's let's see here. I'm just going to read a couple quotes here. Robinhood seems to have perfected the gamification of trading, providing the user with the perception that investing through Robinhood app offers recreational gain with no downside risk. And so,
that's a mistake.
That's a pretty damning statement there.
Yeah,
right. Like,
that's a big one.
And I will say, like, there's a lot of really friendly language in there that encourages you to invest. And it is a risky thing to invest your money into securities unless you have done your due diligence and you have researched the company and done all that, right? And so a lot of these Congress people were bringing up quotes about education and how you can better educate the retail investor if their goal truly is to democratize the free market and bring investing to the masses. How can you help inform them of their decision and make a better informed decision? That whole discussion is a little bit more loaded. I don't care to get into it. I think every one of us should do our due diligence with the companies that we choose to invest in and understand what's going on.
Yeah, that's a big part that I think a lot of times get, and especially in a case like this where it's the platform's fault. Like, I get it. I understand dark patterns in design, and I know of a specific platform out there that I think does a really good job educating you about the risk and to do your own work. But I think something that should be, pretty obvious is you have to do the work to understand what's going on with these securities, things you're buying into, the volatility of the market that can happen, like what short selling is, all that stuff. So I don't know. That's not, to me, that's not all on Robinhood. That's on people not doing their own research.
Yeah, and so, but I mean, there are things that are Robinhood's fault, right? So, like, let's continue that line of thought, right? There's the perception of investing through recreational gain, no downside risk. So when Vlad is his name, Vlad Tenev is the CEO of Robinhood. And basically, as he was repeatedly under fire about these things, he described the mechanics of the company's platform and defended his actions as being in the best interest of consumers, even as lawmakers accused it of gamification of stock trading. I'm going to read almost this direct quote here. When asked whether the app, which shows digital confetti to celebrate purchases and forced interested users to tap the screen 1,000 times in order to maintain their position on a sign-up waitlist, has any safeguards to prevent customers from acting on social media on information rather than fundamentals. Tenev said the site recently redesigned its customer education portal. So there's a lot going on here, right? So they're having them interact with something 1,000 times. They're tapping their phone 1,000 times to maintain a position on a sign-up waitlist. That's insane to me. And then you also have the digital confetti, which is rewarding you for trading or investing. And so it's rewarding you for engaging in this potentially risky behavior. It doesn't take, it's like in the Robinhood app itself, you put in how much you want to buy of a company, and you swipe up, and that's it. That's the interaction. There's no checking a box that says, I understand the risks associated with, and should there be? I don't know. That's another conversation. But it could be in the terms of service, or
Probably
have them.
is. Yeah. I
It
mean, it
probably
has to
is.
be.
Have them onboarding. How much experience have you had with investing? Oh, none. Well, here we're going to walk you through some things. So investing involves risk, and that's what you start with, right? And I'm sure they do something to this, but
They
there
do.
could be
They have some
improvements.
onboarding like that because I had to go through it when I was using the application and had to go through it again when I was going through the gold application process too. So they do have onboarding about it, but it's not gonna educate you fully by any means. And also too, I find it odd that I don't know. This always happens. So there's definitely some things that are being played on here for sure. There's massive gamification. There's definitely some playing on your kind of like dopamine and visual interest systems, right? But at the same time, like there is onboarding about some of this stuff. They do ask you about how you plan to use the application. The way it's worded, it's definitely for selfish means. They want to know, are you going to give them capital that they can sit on and use, or are you going to liquidate really quickly?
Yeah.
So there are some aspects of it they do to try to educate or at least mitigate some of this, but they're definitely using people's psychology to their advantage in their design. That's quite obvious.
There's a committee memorandum that also notes some interesting things. I'm going to read this quote. It's long, but I think it's important, and a lot of it talks about from that gamification perspective. So it says, gamification involves tactics used to engage customers to transact, such as increasing use of notifications, prizes, and other psychological tools and design elements to increase rapid trading, short-termism instead of a more cautious approach. Robinhood, in particular, has been accused of using gamification to increase usage of its app, possibly to the financial detriment of its clients. Examples include designs to appeal to younger users, including digital confetti to celebrate transactions, colorful illustrations, and its allowance for users to tap up to 1,000 times daily to improve their waitlist position for Robinhood's cash management feature. This has led to criticism that gamified online trading platforms, such as Robinhood, encourage behavior similar to a gambling addiction.
Definitely not wrong. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's a little bit more damning when you think about it. There's one more quote I want to read that I pulled out here. Regulators have expressed concern about Robinhood's investment platform. On December 16th, 2020, Massachusetts regulators filed a complaint against Robinhood for its, quote, aggressive tactics to attract inexperienced investors, its use of gamification strategies to manipulate customers, and its failure to prevent frequent outages and disruptions on its trading platform. There's a lot going on here, Blake.
Yeah. So the part that sucks to me, like, you gotta hand it to them. They've obviously done really good at marketing. The design works. It's usable. It's enjoyable to use. Like, something about user experience that I don't necessarily love is that people like have delighted experiences. Well, like using Robinhood was for sure, and I think there are definitely elements of it where they're playing on your psychology and playing on your lack of knowledge. But there's a lot of platforms and software that does that. But what I think bothers me the most is they got people stoked on the platform, but then weren't super reliable about the features they were providing or the service they were providing. That's pretty gnarly, and I can see where like the Massachusetts, whatever it is, regulators would have been filing something against them. I think it's less on the gamification side and more on the fact that they're like failing to provide the actual service that they've promised.
Right. Well, let me just talk about one more thing here. I think it's more or less a context issue. This is a delightful experience. Sure. Does it make sense in the context of using money to invest in securities that are risky? I don't know. Should there be more safeguards in place to inform the user that what they're doing could potentially be risky? Maybe. I don't know. It's a larger question, and it's something that we as human factors professionals and designers and society just in general will have to think about as we move forward with some of these risky platforms, right? You wouldn't, I don't know. There's a design element to gambling as well, but it's like, what's legal, what's not. I don't know, man. It's a huge conversation that we don't have time for on this show.
Yeah, I mean, especially when we're talking about software, like on your phone, that just like it takes the meaning out of so many things away from like the risk and all that stuff. So it's dangerous for a lot of people. And really the biggest thing that I would hope out of this whole thing for Robinhood and other fintech companies is if they look at it as an opportunity to grow from here, and like platforms like Acorns, I think, do a really good job of providing you more detailed ways to learn about finance and understand stock market, investment portfolios, all that stuff. And so there are good companies out there for sure that don't like always play off of your psychology or emotions, whatever it may be. But hopefully this is just a giant learning opportunity for all these kind of platforms.
Hopefully it's a learning opportunity for everyone. All right. Huge thank you to our patrons for choosing this news story this week. It's incredibly timely and topical. And thank you to our friends over at TechCrunch for the article that we are referencing here. If you want to follow along, we do post the links to all of the original articles in our Slack as we find them, so you can join us over there for more discussion. If you want to be a part of choosing what we have on the show, consider being a patron. And speaking of Patreon, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to see what's going on in the human factors community right after this. All right. Yes, Patreon. It's a thing that we have. It's a way for you to financially support the show. We always like to give back to those who financially support the show, because we know that's something that not everyone can do. And so what we're doing for the folks who do like to support us financially, if you don't, that's okay. We'll still produce the show for you every week. But for those people who do support us financially, we do have a couple things going on. We have something almost every day of the week for our patrons. On Mondays, we have Patrons Choose the News. It's a poll that runs throughout the week. On Thursdays, we choose. And they chose this story this week. So thank you to all of our patrons for choosing this new story this week. We have rewards for people. If you sign on at the $10 level, we give you a free little tote bag. You get additional things like a professional heuristic review or of your portfolio or website or whatever it is. We work with you to understand your goals. We're always updating that list. And of course, don't forget Human Factors Minute. Anyone who signs on at the $5 level gets Human Factors Minute. It's an entirely new, different podcast, separate from this one, where we talk about human factors in 1 minute. And it's a different topic every week, hopefully to keep you engaged. And they get that on Tuesday. And then on Friday, they get front of the line to the good old It Came From section, which we're going to get into in just a minute, but they get to the front of the line. So if you can do that, that's great. If not, there are other ways to support us. I'll mention that at the end. All right, why don't we go ahead and switch gears and get into this next part of the show. That's right. It came from Reddit this week. This is the part of the show where we search all over the internet to bring you topics that the community is talking about. Like I said, our patrons get front of the line access here. Nothing from them this week, but we always post it. So coming up here, we got, I guess, 3 of them. I think we got time for all 3. We can try to do all 3.
Let's do it.
Blake, I'm going to read. I'm going to read this first. Here, I'm going to switch the order on you really quick.
Okay.
So I'm going to read this first one here. It is what to do. Sorry, this is I don't have a username. This was deleted before we were able to get the username. But This is from the user experience subreddit. What do you do when working with someone older or more senior who doesn't seem so senior? There was probably more details to that, but we'll just leave it at that, Blake. What do you do when you are working potentially under somebody who may or may not have as much experience as you in a certain topic or something like that? Can be kind of a tricky situation. Blake, what do you do?
I think there's a lot of ways you can handle this. I don't know. So you have a lot of options. I think the best ones are to one, flex your own leadership skills. If you feel like somebody else is, potentially like they just don't have the experience, maybe they're just not as into the job, so you don't feel like they're, keeping things up the way that you would, or going through like putting processes in place that kind of help the team function and grow, like use it as an opportunity to step up and be more senior than you are right now. Because chances are, if you're seeing gaps and issues, it's a good time for you to kind of start filling a role that maybe doesn't exist. And the second part there is use it as an opportunity to build somebody up. Like, just because they're more senior or older or whatever doesn't mean that they've had the same experience that you have, that you could bring to the table. And who knows, by doing that, by kind of bringing your prior experience to a new place and trying to help, suggest things that a more senior person could implement or do to kind of help the team out or help you out, you may end up learning things from them that like you couldn't see at first. So I think, of course, context matters here, but I think it's a great opportunity, even though if it seems like, oh man, this feels odd. This person's older than me. They have like a better title than I do. They get paid more. Well, great. Okay. Try and help them become a better leader. Or if that's not something they're interested in and that becomes clear through working with them, become your own lead. Become that like support person for the rest of your team. But Nick, what would you do in this situation, or how have you handled it prior?
That's a great question. I don't know if I've ever necessarily dealt with this, though. I can tell you how I would react. And it goes along with point 2 that you made there. Build somebody up. If I know that somebody is like, let's say I have some strong opinions that maybe the person above me doesn't quite share. There's a whole debate about mentoring styles and what's kind of appropriate and when to use which one. The approach I like to take is ask questions. Trap them into
Trap them in your questions.
Well, no, not necessarily trap them, but get them to explain their rationale, and then maybe subtly poke at it if you think there's a better way to do something, right? I tend to be fairly coy at first, but then slowly get more direct if they don't get it. So I might start by saying, hey, can I just ask you, like it's really important to me that I understand the context behind this thing. I just wanted to know why are we doing it this way? And if they, if they can't explain, or they have a bad answer, and it always kind of just depends on the person too, but I feel like that's a good time to step in and say, oh, well, what if have we ever tried it this way? Like don't ask them, have you ever thought? Say, has it been tried this way? And that way it absolves them of the guilt of not trying it that way, but then also gives them an explanation to tell you whether or not that way has worked in the past or not, and why. So just ask questions. That's kind of my approach to it. I'm beta when it comes to like assuming leadership roles, especially when somebody else has been assigned that role over me. And so I'd never like wedge myself into that position and try to sideline them. So that's just kind of my approach, but that's another approach too.
Yeah, I think it all depends on the situation, because I don't know, there's nothing worse than finding yourself in a situation where you have somebody above you, but their leadership is not there. Yeah. And they don't want to do anything about it. So you have to step in, or else you're just going to suffer from it. And I don't know, I've seen teams suffer from leadership that doesn't want to really be in a lead position. So it's tough. You just have to kind of make a call.
Yeah, me too. I've seen that very same thing. All right, I'm going to read this next one here. This one is, I have an interview this week, and this one's actually a really important topic too. I have an interview this week with a creative design agency. It seems that the 40-person team doesn't have a single person of color. As someone who values diversity, how can I bring this up appropriately during our interview? They have, let's see, they've made an edit since.
I think the edit's kind of important, to be honest.
Yeah. They are in a city, which the city is the agency. The city the agency is, wow, words are hard, is super diverse and within the United States. They are also desperate for a job right now. Not sure if they'll get an offer, but just wanted to make a question like this. Let's see here. All right, yeah. So Blake, what do you think? How would you approach that problem? You're interviewing for a company. There's everyone's white. What's going on?
So everyone's white. Yeah, that doesn't help when I'm white, does it?
Two white dudes on a podcast asking about diversity.
Right. No, not helping here. But so I'm going to make this really simple. And yes, I am oversimplifying it, and I own up to that. But so the part of the edit that I thought was really important or speaks to me the most is, so let me reread this sentence. So, desperate for a job right now, not sure if I would even get an offer, but just wanted to make sure a question like this would be okay. Here's the important bit. I know I might potentially lose the job because of it, but it feels right to ask before rather than find out after. So I'm not a person of color. I cannot pretend to understand what this feels like, because it's just not something I can't put myself in those shoes. But what I can say is, if you feel like you can't directly ask that question, and if you do and you get a negative response, then it's not somewhere you want to work anyway. From my perspective, like I totally get that if you're in a tough situation and you need a job, not asking. But I feel like if you're going to ask about it, you should be direct, because I think companies need to understand that is something that's, one, important to you, but also it's important to the because this is in the U.S., but I imagine this is global. It's me making assumptions. But it's important to, I think, the culture as a whole to have diversity in any companies or organizations making technology or doing whatever, making shoes. I don't care. It's important to have like that diverse perspective to see things grow and to give people opportunities. So this is not a great answer. And again, I feel like my perspective is a little bit out of whack, being a white dude, but at the same time, like, I would ask the question point blank, because hopefully what you hear is there are diversity initiatives, but we can't figure it out. We're obviously not doing something right. Is that something you would be interested in helping if we brought you on? That's the response you would hope to hear. But if the response is like just awkwardness, or there's even negativity,
we never thought about that.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. One, if you get that response that Nick gave, like, we never thought about that, that's a great place to kind of insert yourself and could get you that job. Just saying. But if you get like a negative response or anything but something positive, then it's not somewhere you want to work anyway. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, it's tough. So the important thing here, Blake, is that I think it should be brought up during the interview, whether or not you are desperate for work, for the same reasons that you brought up, but also during the interview process. It's not just the company interviewing you to see if you would be a good fit for that company. You should be interviewing that company to see if it's a good fit for you. And if this is an important question to you, you should absolutely ask it. And, I would even go further than, I'd be a little bit more extreme than Blake here in this case. Even if you got we haven't thought of that example, I don't think that place would be for you. I think it takes a lot of momentum to change, corporate culture in certain places. And so one person asking about diversity might not change that. It might set it in the right direction, but I don't think it's going to change that much, especially if you are a designer or a human factors person. Unless, of course, you are in a position, you are applying for a position where you could potentially hire others. That is one place where you can have a difference. I think just generally keeping in mind that you are interviewing a place as much as they are interviewing you is the best feedback that I can give. And honestly, I don't think anyone should feel afraid to ask this question to a potential employer. I think it's it shouldn't intimidate anybody, and I understand why it would. But we need more transparent questions like this. Say, hey, you guys are all white. What's going on?
I mean, it's a good point. And you bring up another great point that I think a lot of people don't remember. I'm certainly guilty of it. Like when you go to interview at a place, like it often feels like they're grilling you, but you should be probably grilling them twice as hard, because like that's somewhere you're gonna sacrifice time, emotions to give great work out. And why would you do that if you think the culture is not a good fit? And sometimes that's hard to determine up front, but asking a question like this, if it's important to you, that will tell you a lot very quickly.
Yeah. All right. We have you know what? I think we've hit our hour. Let's get out of here, and we'll save this one for next week. How about that?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get out of here for today. That's it for us. Let us know what you guys think of the news story this week. You can join the discussion on our Slack. We have a Slack where you can join us, or follow us all over our social channels at H Factors Podcast. If you want to get to us directly, you can do that show at humanfactorscast.com. If you like what you hear, you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do that. One, you can leave us a review on your podcast medium of choice. We always like getting those 5-star reviews. Two, you can let a colleague know about us. Word of mouth is really great for the show. And three, if you have money, want to support us on Patreon and get some things back for it, you can certainly do it that way too. And of course, you can always reach us at our home on the web, humanfactorscast.com. I want to thank Mr. Blake Arnsdorff for being on the show today. Where can our listeners go and find you if they want to talk about YouTube pre-show?
Yes. So one more thing you can do to support the show,
YouTube.
Go check out our YouTube if you don't mind. Throw a like on the videos, especially some of the live stream ones. That will help the channel out and help us kind of continue to grow. If you're looking to find me anywhere, you can always reach me in the Human Factors Cast Slack at Blake. But you can also find me across social media, including Instagram, LinkedIn, I think that's it, GitHub, and Twitter at Don't Panic UX.
As for me, I've been your host, Nick Roome. You can find me across social media at Nick_Roome. Thanks again for tuning in to Human Factors Cast. Until next time, it depends. All right, I've stopped recording. You good?
Yeah, let me stop recording. Stop it. Cool. Yeah. Stopping recording. And I will go ahead and export and be good to go.
Cool.
That's awesome. That was a lot better. I didn't get any skipping from the stream.
Oh, great. Yeah,
no,
great.
And I didn't see any kind of issues the whole time, so that's nice. So welcome to the post show if you're still viewing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
The post show. You may have seen me like looking down a little bit while we're on the show. While Blake gives his answers, I'm usually taking things apart for Greeblies, and this is a pretty cool one.
Oh, that's amazing! Is that from a Brita filter?
You know it.
Dude,
I was going to ask. Do you know what this is from?
That's
right?
rad.
But wouldn't that look cool? Oh, you know what, Blake? I meant to show you, and I meant to actually bring this up in our pre-show.
Sorry, before you do that, what episode was this? 194.
I was 194.
Excellent. Yeah. All right, go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, I meant to bring this up in the pre-show, but I've been working on a new project.
What are you doing?
Oh yeah.
Are you just like greeblying out? Oh, there it is.
Look at that.
Another one. Yes.
Yeah, another control panel.
Very cool. You could put like switches in there or something?
These are switches, so they are momentary buttons.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so there'll be LEDs here, and thinking about putting one Greebly here or something. I don't know. I'm still kind of figuring it out. Need it to be a little bit more full, I think. Maybe this one will go here. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's a new project, and I'm really excited. So this is just a project box, and I've replaced the standard screws on it with these little hex bolts.
Nice. That's sick.
So this is yeah.
So anyway, you just cut all the holes and stuff, like for the buttons and switches.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
just
cool.
cut the holes in there.
Check it out! Big shout out to Sam Neff for coming and hanging out.
Oh, hey, look at Sam.
Hearts
Sam,
to you,
thank you
both.
for joining us, sir.
Yeah, man. Appreciate the hangout.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're over there making another Star Wars project. You're the best.
I'm trying, man. I you know, like there's. I still haven't finished my last one. Did I show you my last one with
No,
with
maybe.
the little? Yeah. Did you see
Oh
this one?
yeah. You showed me
Yeah.
that one when you were slamming it together. That's sick.
Yeah, I feel like it's show and tell right now. Anyway, I just
It
wanted to
is.
show you that because
Wait, have you been 3D printing any more stuff? Because last time you I don't know the droid's name. You 3D printed like this big ass droid that was.
yeah.
Are you still
Did
doing
I never
that?
show you? Did I ever show you the finished product?
No, I never saw the finished one.
Oh shoot, yeah, it's done. It's sitting over there. It's kind of like right there. It's sitting on my.
Yeah, I can kind of see.
You can't.
it.
Yeah, you can't see it. I'll show you next week.
That's rad, man. Very cool.
Yeah. How did that go? I think that went well.
It's fine. It's good.
So
time.
so our YouTube audience, they get to know what's coming up next week.
Nick's
which
gonna
is
show off
the
his 3D printing
parents.
stuff. Oh, that's right.
No, as the parent. So that's kind of fun. Yeah. I don't know what else. Like, what else do we do with the post show? Like, I usually this is the point where I go get dinner for the family because podcast nights we always do takeout because it's easier to do that than.
Yes,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's way easier to cook than that. Yeah, usually now I turn this off and I go and play guitar because I have guitar lessons at 8:30, 7:30.
Yeah,
whatever. So yeah, just chilling.
So I'll usually go grab dinner and then I'll edit the episode and throw it up and and I'm wondering if I usually have it up by like I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 at the latest, but I'm wondering if we schedule this for like Friday morning and give our YouTube audience the live, like they get to see it.
Yep. Come and hang.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be incentive to go to YouTube for sure.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Hang
It'd
out
be kind
with
of
us.
fun. Whatever, dude.
I don't know. I just don't want to. I don't want to change it. It's been Thursdays for so long.
It has been Thursdays for so long. People will be super pissed. Although we can't really figure out when people really listen to it, though, can we?
No. Well, no. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know, because like mainstays
Show
like
notes.
Mateo or whatever, I wouldn't want him to have to wait extra time.
Yeah,
because that's like he's been such a supporter for so long, and like he popped into the chat just to say hi, which is really nice considering he's in Australia. But anyway,
Aussie. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I know what we could do for the post show. I think I like this idea. Ready? Are you able to quickly create a scene?
I can.
Of of just my screen that shows perhaps a I don't know, like what does it look like when
when
I share my
live,
screen,
right?
We'll do it live.
Yeah, check this out. So we are now in post show mode, so goodbye, Blake.
Hey.
Hey, wait, yeah, let's get rid of
Let's
that
see.
one, and let's put Nick Central.
Oh boy.
All right. I don't know what this is going to be like. Are you trying to share your screen? Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, I will.
This is going to be sick to try. Go ahead.
Okay. Hold up just 1 minute. I'm gonna put this over here. I'm moving stuff around on my end really quick.
Do it. I'm just setting up the scene for you so you're all good and you're nice and central.
Thank you, sir. Let's see here. So what I'm gonna do here for everyone that's still sticking with us. Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay. For everyone who's still sticking with us, you may have noticed a couple months ago we've started doing this fun thing where we have been adding the what do you call them, the
Greeblies?
no, they're the little the little pictures that we put on each of the episodes.
Oh God, yeah. The things you do in the presentations in Google.
Yeah. So here, let me present now. We'll see what this looks like. Tab. We're gonna look for where. Jeez, it's somewhere in here. Specific tab. There it is.
Oh, sorry, Nick.
Hey, what does that look like? Okay, we're sharing this tab.
Oh, bummer. Hold on. I've got to figure this out on my end. This is hilarious.
Ooh.
So get rid of that. Do we need...
Okay,
check this out.
Oh, all right. We're checking.
Here, let me just hide this for a moment. and reconfigure your screen.
Reconfig.
Do you want your face in there? Because we might have to say no to your face.
Yeah, we can say no to my face. That's fine.
Okay.
No one needs to look at my ugly mug.
I'll figure it out next time. Oh, this is a kind of cool idea, Nick. Okay. So they should be able to kind of see the thing you're doing.
Okay.
It's not super awesome.
It's not. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's kind of.
But keep going, because I'm gonna like do some stuff live.
You keep doing that. I'm gonna look for pictures. So first off, let's name this sucker, right? So this episode will be called whatever we have it in here, Robinhood and Gamestop.
Oh, there we go. That's actually not bad. And now I don't have to put the logo in there because it's already still there.
Tech a human factors perspective. Great. I love it. So that's the title. This is from last week. Oh, and by the way, for everyone, we do keep kind of the. Oh wait, I might keep those in there for now because I need to align them. Anyway, we do keep all of them in here. See, this is like all the ones that we've done, even the interviews, like Mr. Chris Reed.
So quick design thought. Did you want these like little name tags or whatever to go all the way across our screens? Was that your desire?
Name tag? Oh, I don't know. Do whatever looks best.
Yeah, all right, it's going across because this looks not so good. Let's just play with this while Nick is playing around in there.
All right, so let's see here. So what I'll do is I think what I'm we will probably just grab a Robinhood logo that's square.
Do it.
Let's do the little Robinhood, the organization. I want to make sure I grab the correct logo here. Yeah. So we'll copy this image. So we're going to paste this one in. Robinhood. There you go. That's the Robinhoods.
Nice.
Oopsie. See, now here's the issue, everyone on the line, is that we need to make this square. And I need to center it so that way nothing gets cut off. And then we're going to bring this forward and see how that looks. It'll be fine. I'm not going to even do that. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to look for the GameStop logo. And I can hear people yelling at me already. So give me one moment. I will fix the thing.
This is what happens when you do it live.
This is what happens. So here's the thing: is that in the title we have Robinhood and GameStop. So, and I didn't have that in the correct order. I was going to do GameStop Robinhood, so I could hear people yelling already, and I wanted to preempt the yelling. So here's an interesting thing that's going to happen here is that I don't know if this is necessarily big enough. So I'm going to center this. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a big black box, shape, bah. And you're getting the nitty gritty here if you're still with us. Thank you for that.
All the details.
And then we're going to make this box black and do no border, transparent, and we'll fill this thing with black. There we go. Yes, we operate in the Google suite of tools just because it's easier to share amongst myself and Blake. And so we're gonna arrange. We're gonna bring that forward. I don't know. What do you prefer, Blake? Do you prefer the Google suite or do you prefer the Microsoft suite or somewhere in between or what?
I'm cool with the Google suite. For stuff like this, I would probably use Figma because that's like a design tool that I like to use. And that's what I use for all my like own social media stuff I create. But the Google suite kind of goes in. I just like it. It works. I like the cloud aspect of it, having everything all the time. But yeah. How about you? Are you like a fan of one or the other?
I think I like Microsoft better personally. Yeah. All right. That's it. So we've made it. I've downloaded it. It automatically crops out the corners, so we don't have to worry about the overflow. And that's it. We've just done the little thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop presenting here. And I like that as a post-show activity. I think that's kind of fun.
A nice little post-show activity. I'm gonna have to make a scene for like when Nick goes full screen.
Yeah, we'll deal with that. Yeah, because I see myself, I'm all squished. And,
Yeah, you're nuts right now. There's no way I'm gonna be able to fix it. Yeah,
anyway,
there
get us
you go.
both on here. We'll sign off.
That's gonna be more work than. Let's go back this way. Nope, it's totally all screwed up everywhere. You're just gonna have to sign us off, man.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching us on YouTube. Thank you for sticking around for the post show, and thank you for joining us if you've joined us for the whole thing or even part of it. We really appreciate it, and